I think since we've gotten Braun back, we haven't been as organized offensively, too many random possessions. So, that's on me. So it's those three things,
He didn't just criticize the offense, he aimed straight at the king. Everyone in that room knew exactly who the shots were for, and what happened next nearly tore the Lakers apart. JJ Redick had finally had enough, and LeBron James was not ready for what came next. After weeks of quiet frustration, everything exploded following one humiliating loss that changed the energy inside the Lakers locker room forever. It all began on Christmas Day 2025. The Lakers didn't just lose, they got embarrassed. A brutal 119-96 beatdown by the Houston Rockets, a game that was essentially over by the third quarter. Houston played fast, connected, and confident. Meanwhile, the Lakers looked like five strangers arguing over blown switches and missed assignments. The tension was thick, and everyone felt it. What made the loss sting even more was the timing. This disaster came right after LeBron returned from injury. That detail mattered more than anyone wanted to admit. Inside the locker room, the mood shifted instantly. This wasn't new either. Redick had been warning them for weeks. Back on December 27th, after a loss to the Clippers, he admitted the team had looked disjointed since LeBron's return.
Right. Not at all. Not at all. And I don't know. I don't know what else to do. I do a lot of joysticking over there on the sideline. And, yesterday I said, hey, let's run away toss and bring it up the left side. I want so-and-so in it. It was after a dead ball. It was like a opponent on the fly. And we bring it up that side, and the person I wanted the away toss isn't over there. It's just like, that's happening so consistently right now. I chalk it up to the holidays.
Methodic for scratching the brain?
I don't know.
He even took partial blame as a coach, but the message underneath was loud and clear. The offense had lost its flow. The pattern kept repeating. On January 8th, even after a win against the Pelicans, Redick refused to celebrate. He pointed out the same issues: bad spacing, slow decisions, sloppy execution. He made it clear stars like Luka, AD, and LeBron could create all day, but if everyone else wasn't in the right spots, the system collapsed. And even during a blowout win against the Hawks on January 13th, Redick stayed critical. 12 first half turnovers, careless mistakes, not bad luck, bad habits. The numbers backed him up too. For a team led by elite playmakers, the Lakers were turning the ball over at an alarming rate. The uncomfortable truth was impossible to ignore. The offense changed the moment LeBron came back. What once flowed freely now felt forced, and everyone in that building knew where the tension was coming from. Things only got messier from there. DeAndre Ayton's reaction said more than any statement ever could. When reporters asked him about JJ Redick's comments, especially the line where Redick warned that practice is going to be uncomfortable and the meeting will be uncomfortable, Ayton laughed, not smiled.
The other thing that stood out was we ran 12 ATOs last night, 8 of which we didn't run correctly. We tried to run 2 of them again, still didn't run them correctly. One we tried to run a third time, didn't run that correctly. So just a lot of slippage with execution.
He laughed. Let that sink in. The head coach had just questioned professionalism on national television after a humiliating loss, and one of the team's leaders brushed it off like a joke. That wasn't confidence. That was fear disguised as humor. When a coach says, "I'm not doing another 53 games like that," and the locker room responds with laughter, it tells you everything about who really holds the power. Everyone inside that room knew who Redick was talking about, but nobody wanted to say it out loud. Even acknowledging it felt dangerous. And Ayton himself had already admitted earlier in the season what most players only whisper privately. He said, not everyone feels comfortable telling LeBron what to do on the court. Not everyone can approach him and offer instruction. That isn't just respect, that's control. And here's what makes it even more revealing. Ayton is one of LeBron's closest allies on the roster. If even he hesitates, imagine how the rest of the locker room feels. Nobody wanted to challenge the throne. Not teammates, not assistant coaches, not management.
But I'm curious, 14 games of evidence in, did that expectation expand or change in any way with what he's going to have to fit in and integrate with?
No, it didn't. Our conversations this summer were really healthy and positive, and learned a lot about what he wants out of his 23rd season in the NBA. And I think the one of the big takeaways from our conversations was just continuing to find ways to challenge him.
History explains why. Riddick knew exactly what he was risking. Still, he spoke up because the entire league had been watching the same collapse. Fans were tired of coaches walking on eggshells just to keep stars happy. Riddick broke the NBA's biggest unwritten rule: never publicly challenge the superstar. For once, LeBron was treated like a regular player, not an untouchable icon, and everyone knew what that meant. Consequences were coming. The question wasn't whether Riddick was right. The question was whether he'd be allowed to survive being right. Because LeBron's two-decade reign left behind a clear pattern: cross him and careers start counting down. That's not rumor. That's documented history. His influence stretches across agents, executives, media, and sponsors. Accountability applies to everyone except him. That's why Riddick's press conference felt seismic. Coaches don't survive moments like that. Yet there he was, saying what people had whispered for years, but never dared to say out loud. The Lakers functioned better without their biggest star. Inside the locker room, the energy flipped instantly. Players who secretly agreed had to choose: stand with the coach or protect themselves. Some went silent, others laughed it off. But not a single player publicly backed Riddick, even though the stats already had. At the same time, a new storyline was quietly forming: Luka Doncic and a future that didn't revolve around LeBron. That blockbuster trade wasn't just about winning now, it was a timeline shift. The Lakers were planning for life after the king. When Luka arrived, chaos was already brewing. LeBron's shadow loomed large. Players tiptoed, but Luka didn't come to play politics.
Yeah, we have some experience with it. I do know, because we looked at this stuff too a few weeks ago. Those guys would show and no LeBron that was like the best sort of variation of the no LeBron lineup with those two on the court. And obviously Joe's not here anymore.
The Lakers locked him in fast, 3 years, $165 million. That wasn't just a contract, it was a statement. Luka was the future, and the numbers proved it. By mid-January 26, Luka was putting up historic performances night after night, scoring titles, triple-doubles, efficiency off the charts. When Luka ran the offense, the Lakers looked alive. Even LeBron admitted it publicly, calling Luka the franchise guy, supportive words on the surface, but the contrast on the court was impossible to ignore. With Luka in control, the Lakers finally looked like a real team again. And this is where the frustration really peaks. Because while LeBron may not be carrying the Lakers on the court the way he once did, there's still one area where he dominates completely: the media. Off the floor, LeBron is untouchable. Movies, sneakers, commercials, documentaries. He's not just a basketball player anymore. He's a global brand. And the NBA itself often feels like a supporting character in the LeBron James story. That polished image, the philanthropist, the family man, the mogul, it works. It distracts people from what's actually happening during games. The cleaner the narrative looks, the easier it is to ignore how broken the on-court product has become.
And I think one of the big takeaways from our conversations was just continuing to find ways to challenge him. I think that's part of the reason that he's still doing it, beyond just the love of the game. Is, his brain needs a new challenge. That's how he functions at a high level. And so just finding new ways to challenge him, whether that's as a screener, as an off-ball player like we did last year.
Meanwhile, Luka Doncic walked into Los Angeles with no entourage, no media circus, no manufactured hype. He didn't need it. His game speaks louder than any PR campaign ever could. Fans see it. They know Luka is the new face of Lakers basketball. While Luka lets his play do the talking, LeBron's media machine keeps spinning the same conversations: who should take the last shot, what moves should be made to extend LeBron's window, how the team should keep bending to fit his preferences. At this point, the spotlight isn't earned through performance anymore. It's maintained through perception, and that's where things turn uncomfortable. At 41 years old, instead of setting a new standard, LeBron's ego is quietly pulling at the team's chemistry. Compare that to legends like Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan. Accountability was never optional for them. If you messed up, they called it out. If you slacked, they pushed harder. That's real leadership. That's why Luka and JJ Riddick represent the true path forward. Luka is young, hungry, and coachable. a generational talent who leads by example, not headlines. Redick is fearless, a coach who refuses to sugarcoat, who demands effort no matter the name on the jersey. Together, they represent a reset this franchise hasn't had in years. Results over reputation, effort over ego, the Lakers are standing at a crossroads. This isn't just about basketball anymore, it's about identity. Do they keep protecting nostalgia and tiptoeing around a fading superstar, or do they fully commit to Luka, build around accountability, and let the future take shape? The media protection around LeBron is real. Defensive lapses get edited out. Ball dominance gets reframed as taking over. Bad nights get buried under excuses. It's not a conspiracy, it's business. LeBron generates billions. Networks, sponsors, and access all depend on his image. But for one brief moment, Redick cracked that wall. He said what no one else would, and the truth is finally catching up. The stats say it, the film says it, the eye test says it. The Lakers play their best basketball when LeBron steps back and struggle when he tries to dominate like it's still 2013. His legacy is secure. The championships, the records, the milestones, they're real. But individual greatness doesn't automatically equal team success anymore. Now add the injuries, the load management, the lingering scandals around his inner circle, the mounting tension inside the locker room. This isn't hate, it's reality. LeBron can still be great in moments, but the cost is growing. And every game spent clinging to the past is a game stolen from the future. The Lakers already have their answer. It's wearing number 77. The future isn't a mystery anymore, it's already here. The only question left is whether the organization is brave enough to embrace it. Letting go of the myth might be the hardest move they ever make, but protecting the mission matters more. And that's where we leave it. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with other Lakers fans. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should the Lakers fully hand the keys to Luka, or does LeBron still deserve the throne? I'll see you in the next one.